Hello.
Hello?
You might not have heard from us before, or you might not have heard from us for a long time, but we have decided to break our radio silence for the two fans we have on the internet, Nathan and T.
God damn it.
Shout outs in the first 30 seconds.
Used to be 3, but we kicked one out.
Yeah, we did.
Actually, Nick would watch us.
Yeah, Nick would.
So we have 3.
We have 3 fans. Alright, so all 3 fans. As you can tell by the pulsating logos that you'll be watching if you keep this tab open instead of doing other things while listening to us, we have finally decided that after everything that's happened since E3 around Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, that we wanted to kind of give our own thoughts on what's happened, what information we have, and then kind of like respond to the message from Masuda that circulated yesterday from the Pokemon official website. So, unless you've been living under a rock, then you will know that for the first time since Ruby and Sapphire, over a decade ago,
Yep.
they are not going to include every Pokemon in Pokemon Sword and Shield. And of course, this has brought a significant amount of controversy from all sides, because you've got your people who are like, you know, I've played Pokemon all my life, I feel like I'm being robbed, this is no longer like the same experience. And then you have your crowd of, shut the fuck up, you bitch baby whiners, you get what you get and you'll buy it anyway. So, obviously we have to start with talking about this, and before we give our opinions on it, I'm going to read the letter from Masuda. Again, if you've been living under a rock, you probably have already heard it, so sorry for wasting the next like 45 seconds to a minute of your life. Thank you to all of our fans for caring so deeply about Pokemon. Recently, I shared the news that some Pokemon cannot be transferred to Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. I've read all your comments and appreciate your love and passion for Pokemon. Just like all of you, we are passionate about Pokemon, and each and every one of them is very important to us. After so many years of developing the Pokemon video games, this was a very difficult decision for me. I'd like to make one thing clear. Even if a specific Pokemon is not available in Pokemon Sword and Shield, that does not mean it will not appear in future games. The world of Pokemon continues to evolve. The Galar region offers new Pokemon to encounter, trainers to battle, and adventures to embark on. We are pouring our hearts into these games, and we hope you will look forward to joining us on this new journey. June 28, 2019, Junichi Masuda. So Dave, I'll open the floor to you first. What are your thoughts on this decision?
I think, just listening to the way that they talked about it, it's pretty much, we hear you, but we're going to do what we want anyway. And I don't necessarily like that attitude. When it comes to the whole bring back the National Dex thing, I don't necessarily think every single mon in every Pokemon game should be catchable. But when they have a system that they made, originally Pokemon Bank, now Pokemon Home, and we can't bring them in from home, that's just like, then why even have home? Why even have it? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, if we're going along the lines of like, well, they might not be in Sword and Shield, but they could be in, you know, the probably what's likely going to be, I'll just say this, the Sinnoh remakes.
Yeah.
They'll be in the Sinnoh remakes, and that's how you'll be able to fill in the rest of your decks. That means there's no reason to buy Pokemon Home until next year's games.
Pretty much.
And I think this is another one of those cases where, as an industry, video games are growing past this yearly release cycle unless you're a sports title.
Yeah, I agree.
Like Assassin's Creed has stopped it. You know, sometimes they have games come out in back-to-back years, but those are completely different development teams working on those games. As far as we know, there's one primary Pokemon team. So they made Let's Go, and then they moved. You know, I don't think that could possibly be true, because I'm just gonna say this: visually speaking, Let's Go shits all over Sword and Shield.
I think didn't Let's Go.
Was
had,
that
like,
the
a
B
bunch
team?
I think that was like a B team. I think that was all like the new people.
Then the new people should be brought on to the main team at this point because, and this isn't really related to what we first started talking about in terms of these games, but visually, like graphically speaking, to me, this is an enhanced 3DS title.
It really is.
Um,
Like, it's gorgeous and like the backgrounds and the sceneries look really good, but you could tell looking at the actual character models that they're basically 3DS models polished up.
yeah. And like a lot of the textures that they'll show in like screenshots are like super flat. And honestly, if you know, this is a big debate that I've seen on Twitter, and I'm not partaking in too many of them anymore because I'm kind of like growing past that phase of my life. But when I see people say, "Well, you know why they're delaying and not putting in all these other old Pokemon is they're making the animations better."
No,
And
they're
then
not.
you see Scorbunny do, and they click on an attack for Scorbunny where he's supposed to kick, and he just like hops slightly. That's not an improved animation to me.
No, it's not. I mean, that's like we laughed at that kind of shit in Jump Force.
Yeah, Pokemon doesn't get to get away with it just because they're Pokemon.
Like that flies on a handheld kind of like situation, and while the Switch is technically portable, it's also supposed to be like a main console.
I mean, look at like Mario Odyssey and
Or
Breath of the Wild. Like I know that, and it's not fair to compare those games. Let me just clarify before someone immediately goes to the comments. How dare you compare games with like 4 or 5 year dev cycles to a game with a 1 year dev cycle? But that highlights to you how bad these short dev cycles are for these games. Think about, you know what, if we had to just go through a year or two of like Pokemon spin-off titles, or if they just really push like Pokemon Go and Pokemon Masters for like a year, and like for 2020, push your mobile games for a year and come back in 2021 with a proper new fully 2+ year dev cycle Pokemon game.
I feel like there's like this horrible imbalance of like they either take way too quick of a time to make a game, or they don't touch a property for fucking decades.
Well, like, when was the last time we had a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game, like, midway through the 3DS life cycle?
I think it was like 2015, 2016.
So it's been almost 5 years since
Yeah.
we've had a Mystery Dungeon title. And when was the last time we had a good Mystery Dungeon title?
I heard the last one was good.
I heard it was okay,
Yeah.
but I know it wasn't as good as, like, the DS ones were.
That's true.
And, like, the original, like, Red and Blue Mystery Dungeon are, like, probably...
Tier.
They are top-tier Pokemon spin-off titles.
They're really good dungeon crawlers.
Yeah.
Like, even outside of the context of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon,
Yeah.
they're good dungeon crawlers.
But, you know, with Pokemon Sword and Shield, I'm also not going to sit here and say that I'm not buying it day one because I've been a diehard Pokemon fan since I was a child. So I'm not gonna abandon the series or anything, but a lot of times I see online are people saying that like if you want to buy it, you can't be unhappy. Like you can't like critique, but I think that's wrong. I think that because I don't think they're going to be bad games.
No, I think the single-player adventure is going to be perfectly solid. However, it's what happens after that's done that is what we're talking about here.
Yeah, because I look at it like long-term. Like I think the campaign's going to be great. The region looks amazing. I'm looking forward to the wild area replacing routes. There are good decisions being made. However, what they're doing with cherry-picking Pokemon is going to change competitive. Now, I should also preface this with I am perfectly okay with losing a lot of the legendaries that dominate competitive. Like Landorus, the Tapus. I'm perfectly... The Ultra Beasts. I am 100% on board with losing them in competitive. I will just throw that out there right now. But the problem is we don't know what else we're going to lose or what that's going to do to competitive, because we were talking about this before we made this video, is who stops Greninja now? If Greninja is available in these games, who or what stops Greninja now? No answers? Greninja would probably go straight to Ubers. Like, it would be just like a Thanos snap, and he is in Ubers.
For the sake of context, if you happen to watch this and you don't know what we mean by Ubers, we're talking about based on Smogon's Pokemon Showdown tier list.
Yeah, because in like VGC, it will be available because their ban list will be like Mega Rayquaza, which probably won't even be in the game anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just nervous about this moving forward. Like, so essentially from now on, are we not going to get every Pokemon in the game?
I feel like if they do that with each new game after this,
because this could be setting a dangerous precedent.
I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like with this kind of... I think people are going to let them get away with it for one game. I don't think they're going to let them get away with it for more than that.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, now let's be honest. If next year is, Diamond and Pearl remakes, I'm not super into Gen 4. So I wouldn't like...
I'm just going to say the only reason to make a Gen 4 remake is to actually make the games tolerable.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, but then you look at Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and they only improved Gen 3 a little bit.
Graphically.
Graphically and with Megas.
Yeah, pretty much.
Megas was the only gimmick that I've liked so far.
The problem with Gen 3 is that Gen 3 was a really boring generation.
Yeah, and Gen 4 is not much better. Gen 4 has more memorable characters, and I think...
The story is better, but, like, everything that makes Gen 4 a game is just fucking awful.
Yeah, it's not great.
And I have to clarify, because a lot of people think that when I say that, I'm talking about as a Pokemon game. Like, the Gen 4 games themselves are not bad if you're talking about as a video game themselves, like if they lived in their own bubble.
But they don't.
But they don't. And as a Pokemon game, I think they're fucking awful.
I think they're the worst. I still think they're the worst.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, but that's not why we're here.
That's not why we're here. We're not here to shit on Gen 4 and get angry comments about why Gen 4 is great from people who that was their first generation, which I will just quickly note that you're the only ones who like it as much as you do.
Fucking babies.
Little babies, little children. But, and there's some, speaking of gimmicks, actually, in Sword and Shield, we're going to have Dynamaxing, and it's not just like a raid thing, it is a competitive battle mechanic. And from what I've seen, and from what was reported from the E3 show floor, I am not with it as a battle mechanic.
Although you knew, sir, I really wasn't with it from the beginning. Like, before we even knew all the details, I like the raid battle mechanic. I think that's really dope. Like, that's really cool. But as an actual battle mechanic, like for one-on-one battles, I'm not with it. It's clearly like this generation's equivalent of Z moves and Megas, but more accurately, it's basically like buffed up Z moves.
It's kind of like, okay, so it's a middle ground.
Yeah.
Leaning more towards the Z move side because it's more than one turn. It's a 3-turn thing. So while it's not a permanent transformation like Megas were,
and every move in Dynamaxing has like a secondary effect.
Yeah.
Like the grass one gets the grassy terrain.
Yeah, they change the weather and terrain or buff stats or something.
I'm not with it. It really feels like they're grasping at straws at this point.
Just bring back Megas. They were the best ones you had.
Seriously.
Like,
Megas
far and away.
They were the best ones. Z moves were like... They were okay for one game, but man, once you find out more about how Z moves work mechanically, I fucking hate them.
Yeah. They're not very fun.
They're not fun, and the only decent thing about Z moves is it takes moves that would otherwise like have no use and makes them semi-useful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you ever use Fly in competitive? You wouldn't, except as a Z move, it's powerful.
Mm-hmm. Very powerful.
So, but Dynamaxing, I'm not with it. I don't like it. It's too gimmicky. The stat increase is...
It's just HP.
It's just HP, which is not worth a thing. It's... I'm just going to say, it's fucking goofy.
Yeah.
It's fucking it's goofy and stupid.
I feel like it would have been fine if it had just been a raid mechanic.
Yeah.
If it had stayed a raid mechanic, I think, or like a single player mechanic, I'd probably been like, whatever, I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
But like, it's gonna be a competitive, and it's going to be terrible.
Pretty much. It's basically like, oh, one turn for Z moves wasn't good enough. Let's make it 3.
Let's make it 3. Yeah, it's not the best.
I would have been much happier with the armor gimmick that they were talking about before we found out what was actually happening.
Yeah.
The armor thing sounded really cool.
Mm-hmm. Though technically, Dave, that could still be a thing.
Well, those legendaries were shining in the trailer, so you know.
Yeah, you're right. Armored confirmed. Armored form confirmed.
Fucking Nexus.
You know, what's also kind of concerning me is that this is a new generation that's like, what, 4 months out now?
Yeah, something like that.
We've barely seen any new Pokemon. But I know you like that.
I'm okay with that.
I know you like that, but I'm almost concerned with, like, does that mean our numbers are really low again?
That's the only concern that I would really have, but I really did not like the fact that for Gen 7, they basically gave us, like, 90% of the Pokédex before we had the games, and there was, like, very little mystery.
Again, I like seeing all the new Pokemon early, so I can't agree with that. But it is weird that we went through E3, and you know, normally, I don't know, with Gen 7, how long did they take to start revealing starter evolutions?
I think they waited until like the fucking end.
Did they?
I think they
For
did.
both?
I think that was like the last thing.
So I want to say 1 month they did the stage 1s, and then like right before launch they did stage 2s.
I fucking barely even remember them revealing the final evolutions.
They did.
It must have been like the last thing.
It was one of the last videos, but and, you know, probably if we get to the end of August and we're not getting like bi-weekly videos on reveals, we're probably not seeing much more.
Yeah.
Because I think that's like the latest if they have like at least 80 new Pokemon and they want to show us like 50 or 60, you have to start by at the end of August.
I think going back to the whole National Dex thing, if it turns out that the Galar Dex is humongous with original Pokemon, it's going to mitigate some of that.
Yeah, you almost want to go Gen 5 with it.
Because like Gen 5 didn't have every single Pokemon.
They were technically obtainable, but
in Black and White 1 anyway.
Yeah.
It didn't have every single Pokemon, but that Pokédex was fucking huge.
Yeah, I'd say that
it was the biggest one since Gen 1.
I want to, yeah. It was almost 150. It was like 130.
Yeah.
I think that to mitigate it, and this is like also like for my personal beliefs, like if you want to mitigate it for me, who's like, I'm kind of falling in the middle of this whole debate. Overall, I want minimum. If there's over 1,000 Pokemon, I want at least 600. I want over half of the National Dex.
Yeah.
And I want minimum 100 of those to be new.
Yeah. No more of this, like, only 50 or 60 Pokemon.
Yeah, Gen 6 and Gen 7 did not bring it.
No.
At all. So, I think they need to give me, again, just to repeat, 600 national, overall, including Galar, but minimum 100 Galar.
And I'm also going to throw this on there, too. They better be original Galar Pokemon. No forms.
Yeah, forms don't count.
No. Don't get me wrong, I think some Pokemon need evolutions still.
Oh, most definitely.
But I'd rather they just have original Pokemon.
Yes. 100% agree. And I'm okay with forms. I love
like
the
the alternate
concept
forms.
of alternate forms based on region to region. But
I like that, but I don't like them using that as a crutch to not give us a fuller Pokédex.
yes, I agree with that. So 600 national, 100 Galar, maybe like 10 forms.
Yeah.
Because they didn't go crazy with Alolan forms.
I'd also like Farfetch to get an evolution, but I don't want.
Well, I don't know how we go into this without, because we didn't like talk about like spoiling or like leaks or anything at the start of this video.
Yeah,
So I don't really want to talk about that
we
right
don't
now.
necessarily have to go into like spoilers, but we
There-
can
there
bring up
is-
something else.
There is one leak that has been extremely accurate so far.
I wasn't even going to talk about that. I don't know if you remember this, but a while back they actually had the beta for Pokemon Gold and Silver.
Mm-hmm.
That came out, and like a lot of stuff and a lot of information came about that. There were Pokemon that were ended up not used, and one of them was an evolution for Farfetch'd. Might be time to bring some of that.
Yeah. Well, what would you do? I also remember from those.
It was like a giant tiger one.
From those, there was also like new baby forms.
Yes.
New like. I think that it wouldn't be a bad idea to buff some of these like kind of weaker lines. Like for example, I know there was a baby Meowth.
Yes.
So if you bring in baby Meowth, then you could buff Meowth in Persian because they would technically have another. Like Meowth would become a stage 1.
Yeah.
And Persian becomes stage 2. So I guess since we can start wrapping up now, I feel like we've kind of covered a lot of our opinions.
We didn't cover the new Pokemon themselves.
Yeah, I think I kind of want to wait on that.
We'll wait on that.
Well, wait, I want to see more before I kind of like start going in on that. Aside from the legendaries,
Because I have my thoughts.
I will say this real quick on that. I do not like the legendaries.
The weakest pair yet.
They look too similar.
They do.
If you had kept,
They don't even look like Pokemon.
They look like Digimon.
Yeah.
And I think it's the color scheme on that front. Color scheme wise, they look like Digimon because Pokemon doesn't do color schemes like that most of the time.
Yeah.
So, again, that's a video for another day. But I will say this as we start to wrap up here. There's another Pokemon game coming out this year. It's a gacha game. And you know how I feel about gacha games. I love them.
Obsessed.
I'll take obsessed. It's fine.
Addicted.
If we have to. Thanks, Stephanie. Sound like her. Anywho, Pokemon Masters has me more excited than as of right now. As of June 29th, 2019, I am much more excited for Pokemon Masters than Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people in the Pokemon community that are saying the same thing.
I don't even play gachas and it looks really cool.
Yeah. So I guess in closing, and kind of going back to our first talking point about the limited decks, I understand that Pokemon in 2019 is more than just video games. They've got multiple forms of media that have to coordinate and stay on the same page. The anime, the card game, which the card game I don't agree with. People use the card game as an excuse. The card game can do whatever the fuck it wants for a long time, and it still be fine. Because right now they've been finished with new Gen 7 stuff for a while. They just keep changing it up. That's all you have to do for the card. The card game can be delayed a year for Gen 8, easy.
Yeah. All you gotta do is make new pictures and people are like, oh shit.
Yeah, new pictures, new attacks, every now and then change up the EX, GX, Tag Team GX mechanic, and it's fine. The anime is a little different. I think the anime works more closely in terms of like when the games are coming out than the card game does. Because obviously you have to plan the anime out a long time in advance.
Yeah.
I know that's why they can't just delay. Because at this point, it would be... both card game side and anime side would probably be pretty far into production or pre-planning at this stage.
I mean, to put it in perspective of where the anime is right now, and the Japanese version of the anime, they're basically just getting ready to start the Pokemon League.
Yeah, which means it's got like 3 months left.
Yeah.
Or 4 months. They'll probably do like what they did in XY, where it's like, here's Pokemon League, and then like there's like a 2-month like filler thing at the end where they just kind of like do nothing. Yeah. Or they wrap up loose ends in the region and then move on. So, and the card game would probably would at least be in like pre-planning.
Actually,
like
the anime can extend even further than that because they still got Ultra Beasts.
That's probably what they'll do then.
Because they only did like a few of them.
Yeah, I know they did the main Lucamine plot already.
They did that. They didn't even do like the regular Ultra Recon Squad.
Okay, so that's probably what their post.
Necrozma hasn't shown up, I don't think.
I almost feel like Necrozma could be a movie.
It's probably gonna be a movie.
Yeah.
But they did. What the fuck? Oh my god. See, I watched.
I know Pheromos has been in there because I saw the clip where it got bodied by Beware.
Beware in the anime is probably like one of the better parts, to be honest.
Yeah.
Pheromosa, the fuck is the giant stag?
Buzzwole.
Buzzwole. See, the Japanese names are different.
Yeah, they are.
So I get like now my English names are all confused. They did Kartana.
So will they done like half of them probably?
I think those are the only.
Have they done like Guzzlord or anything like that yet?
I think those are the only 3.
Okay, so they've got a nice handful of Ultra Beasts left to do.
Yeah. Maybe they've done Stack Attacka? I don't fucking know.
But even then, though, like you couldn't make that stretch forever. You'd get a couple months out of it. You wouldn't be able to get a whole year out of it.
You'd probably get like 2 months.
Yes. So that's why I think it's a good post Alolan League story, or if not, like the thing that interrupts the Alolan League and they finish afterwards.
Yeah.
But so I understand that Pokemon's a multimedia franchise and you can't just delay the games. But my closing point is yearly releases have to go. If we're at the point where we can't finish and have all... I know there's going to be over 1,000 Pokemon. I understand. Okay, I know that's a lot to put in every game. But we have the technology to easily do so now. It's not like back in the day where you had to have a genius like Iwata come and help you condense stuff down into Game Boy cartridges. You can put a lot on these games now. And if you can't do that within a year, then a year's not long enough to develop your title.
2 or 3 years is a perfectly acceptable cycle.
Yeah, I want to say their games are closer to 2 year because now that we talked about it a bit from earlier, I do think there are 2 teams.
Yeah.
So.
And no one's there's probably some asshole asking, but I'm not asking, and you're not asking that like every single mon has to be like in the wild and catchable. No, I
just want them to be usable.
Accessible.
Yeah, I want to. You want to sell. You're the Pokemon company, right, Dave? You are the Pokemon company right now. You are trying to sell me on Pokemon Home, and you can't tell me that I can't use on Pokemon Sword and Shield. How do you sell it?
Give me your money.
That's all you can do.
We're gonna hold your Pokemon hostage.
Pokemon prison. It's not home, it's a prison. They're in jail.
Pokemon penitentiary.
We'll get you next year. And that's what those Pokemon are there for. They're in a 1-year sentence.
Pikachu commits tax fraud.
Yeah. So...
Learn from Yoshi.
Is there anything else you want to add to the end of this? Do you have any closing thoughts or statements?
I think Sword and Shield as a single-player game is going to be a fun game. However, I think they are making decisions that essentially hurt the longevity of the game. Because you got to think of it this way. Like, if these games are supposed to last a whole year, how long is a main campaign? They're usually like only
20 to 30 hours.
I was going to say at most 20 hours.
Yeah.
So, what am I supposed to do after that to keep the longevity going?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I just twiddle my thumbs and shiny hunt.
Yeah. Shiny Hunt. That's the only thing that's kept Let's Go going. But Let's Go was blatantly meant to be a filler game anyway.
Yeah, well, people still play the Wi-Fi battles on there.
Well, yeah, it's just that... actually, that's one more thing I forgot to mention. I have seen people defend Sword and Shield saying no one complained about Let's Go only having 151. And my response to that was, well, for one, they told us outright it was a Gen 1 remake game. It was a remake of Yellow. And while I was like, well, that kind of sucks, I understood why. And I will also say that Let's Go had new character models for all the Pokemon. Sword and Shield looks like they're using high-res 3DS models.
I don't... And not for nothing, but, like... Can you not notice that Let's Go is a side game?
They can't notice. That's the problem.
Different. Like, it's so vastly different. It is meant to basically be, like, its own series.
Which I think it will be.
Because let's be honest, I'm sure they're going to end up making, like, a Let's Go
2 or something. I don't want to think about what, like, Meryl and Snubble.
That's probably what it's going to be.
Oof.
Hey, listen, Meryl with huge power, with those buff stats, might actually be fucking scary.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's besides the point. Ultimately, the whole thing is, how will this game manage to keep its longevity? See, at least if you had all of the national decks in the game and you decide to wait like 2 or 3 years, with the competitive aspect of it...
It would keep itself going.
Actually, you want to know how you can help the longevity? Pokemon, can you at least give us something like more than one save file? That's long fucking overdue.
Yeah.
That's long fucking overdue. If I can have like 3 save files and have, one for each starter.
Yeah. That would do a lot.
Let's fucking talk about that. Why haven't they fucking done that yet?
I don't have an answer for you. Laziness?
Multiple save files have been a thing.
You're getting really loud.
Well, okay. Multiple save... I'm getting upset.
Yeah, I can tell.
Multiple save files have been a thing since the fucking NES days. Why have we not had them yet?
We're just trying to... This is not the longest... I was like 5-6 minutes ago. I was like, alright, so in closing, and then here we are, like, multiple save files.
But it's true.
Where are they? Where are they?
Where are they?
But, I mean, I understand. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. But dealing with Pokemon as a whole over the past few years has been very frustrating.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm not going to abandon the franchise. I'm not going to quit Pokemon or anything.
We're not in high school anymore.
Yeah. I'm not. My reaction to when things don't go my way isn't, well, fuck it, I'm never touching it again. That's still not my reaction.
Well, I'm also not quite the edgelord I used to be.
Yeah. But I will call out bullshit when I see bullshit.
That's it.
That's what it boils down to.
Call us Penn and Teller, because this is some fucking bullshit. So, that's probably going to do it for this one. We covered a lot here. We covered the main controversy, I think. And then probably in a little while, in terms of like, probably when they start revealing Pokemon proper, we'll start talking about the Pokemon themselves and what we think they're going to be like in terms of like competitive and stats and all that shit. So on behalf of Dave and myself, if you listen to this whole little mini podcast rant thing, thank you very much. In terms of like a YouTube channel update, I don't have one right now because I don't have one right now. That's all I can say. I know this isn't going on my channel, but if you are from my channel and happen to be listening to this, I don't have one either. I'll occasionally stream on Twitch, and that'll be about it.
Yeah, I mean, with YouTube being so kind of like anti-small guy right now, it's maybe we just want to focus on Twitch anyway.
Yeah.
So I think what's a very likely scenario is that like this becomes like a video on demand channel for my streams. If you want like an update right now, that's probably like the future. It'll be videos like this, discussion videos, and then probably a VOD channel.
Yeah, at this point, my channel is going to be like maybe a highlight here or there.
Yeah. Because like I just don't know how I want to play the YouTube game. I don't know. I mean, my mind could change on that 100 times here in like the next like month.
Yeah, I also have to find the project because like
We've started recording.
Not going to get into that here because we could be here all day.
Yeah, we've done and started multiple things that we just have to finish before I'm willing to start editing them. But
yeah,
you know,
we got some thumbnails that need to be made.
Yeah. So anywho, thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all next time for more bitching about Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Deuces.